Hello everyone and welcome again to the F1 Corner and the review and highlights of the 2020 Spanish Grand Prix qualifying session. This session saw, of course, the return of Sergio Perez, finally cured from COVID-19, and Alfa Romeo making it into Q2, and Lewis Hamilton taking his 92nd pole position of his career. But we'll get to all that in a second. First, let's start with Q1. And also just want to quickly remind you to like and subscribe. So, in Q1, we're out Antonio Giovinazzi, Nicolas Latifi, George Russell, Romain Grosjean, and Kevin Magnussen. Tough day for Giovinazzi. His first lap going out very wide on the sausage curb and potentially damaged his floor. Went out for a second lap after that, but could not improve, so tough day at the office, and also just show that the Alfa Romeo is still a tough car to understand. Both Williams, they did not look very strong since Friday practice, and we're not expecting any real improvement today. Sadly, George Russell missing out on a 5th Q2 in a row, which would have been very good and just, nice for Williams, but it's back to earth for them. Russell keeping his 100% quali in front of teammate record with 18, and Nicolas Latifi half a second behind 19. And the two Haas, this was quite puzzling considering that yesterday they had some really good pace in practice. Grosjean even doing a 5th place in FP2. So does their car are only in race pace? I mean, this is what we've seen all season so far. Very struggling with the quali pace and having trouble making it out of Q2. Cannot make this car work on one lap, which is funny because last year it was the opposite. They could have very great quali but very bad race pace. We'll see tomorrow. The race is a long race, but Barcelona is a tough track to overtake, so it's going to be tricky for the Haas. But not all hopes are lost. They have a free choice of tire, obviously, so they can start on the medium if they want, which will be the prime tire, and maybe try to make their way up for more points. So no big surprise in those that were out in Q1. So again, Magnussen, Grosjean, Russell, Latifi, and Giovinazzi are out in Q1 and starting in these positions. Now on to Q2, and yes, Kimi Raikkonen made it out of Q1 into Q2 for Alfa Romeo for the first time this season. This will be a nice little victory, nice little boost to the morale of the troops at Alfa Romeo, as Kimi is also showing that he's got the talent and he's got the speed to make it, and he's probably in a moment where we're starting to consider if he will be back next year. But good job for Kimi. So quickly, we're out in Q2. Esteban Ocon, Kimi Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, Daniel Kvyat, and Sebastian Vettel. Few surprises here, obviously. The two Renault, who looked like they had strong pace during practice, just could not make this car work during qualifying. Obviously, if you look at the time, it's not by much. I mean, Ricciardo missing out Q3 by 3/100ths of a second, and Ocon 4/10ths of a second, but those margins are really, really small. So it's not much that is missing, it's only tough luck to some extent, but still, in Formula 1, every little bit counts, and 3/100th of a second after 50 lap is a few seconds, so they have to improve there. Ocon again behind his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, struggling again in quali pace. We have to give him time. He's been out of the car for a year and a half, but he has to make up for it and just improve, because it's only making his races more tricky after that when he wants to make up some ground. Kimi Raikkonen 14, good day at the office for him. That's where he started last year too, with the same team. Daniel Ricciardo 13, as I said, missing by 3/100ths of a second. It's not much, but not there. They will be disappointed with that result. Bright side, they get a free choice of tire and hope to make it into the points. Daniel Kvyat also tough luck, finishing 12th in Q2 when his teammate Pierre Gasly made it into 5th position. So this car had Q3 potential, but Kvyat could not find it. Again, Gasly, just an astonishing result. Nothing really to say for Kvyat. It's not necessarily a big surprise to see him in that position, but there's more that they can do with this AlphaTauri, and I can see both cars finishing in the point tomorrow if they're a bit lucky. And the disappointment of the day, again, Sebastian Vettel, missing Q3 by only 2 milliseconds on Lando Norris. Seb will be disappointed with that result. He got a new chassis, which, in theory should improve his confidence and maybe give him a bit more performance, but still could not find what it takes to make it into Q3. Disappointing for Seb. It's a disappointing season so far at just overall for him. I think his mind is just not there. It's a tricky mental challenge for him this season, maybe the worst he's had in his career. And he really, if he's such a great driver as people tend to label him as one of, he needs to show that he can overcome those mental challenge. And it's not the first time we've seen that. I mean, we know that in the last few years, Lewis Hamilton seems to have Vettel's number and always able to push him over the limits. 2018, 2019 were tough on Seb too. Also having a teammate that's beating him, it seems to take a toll on Seb, and he's not able to overcome these mental challenge. So he needs to improve. Of course, his future is currently uncertain in Formula One. But yeah, just disappointment from the 4-time world champion. We know he can do better than that, and we just hope that he can tomorrow. And finally, Q3. You can see the results here, but let's start at the bottom. Pierre Gasly, kind of expected to see him last of the bunch, even though he had a good lap in Q2. He was the odd man out in Q3, 10th place. Not bad considering if you look at the gap. He is less than 1/10 of a second from 7th place, and just barely 1/10 from 6th place. So it's, again, bit of tough luck, and just the car that's not as aerodynamic as the others. Every little piece is there, but a very good result for Gasly. I think he can have a decent race tomorrow. Charles Leclerc will be disappointed a little bit with his teammate 11th, who gets a free choice of tire, and Leclerc stuck with the soft. I think he started at a disadvantage there, but I think we're seeing now the real speed of the Ferrari. We say in Barcelona, we get pretty much a good picture of where everyone stands, and this is probably the best that Ferrari can do at this stage, even though they had good practice session yesterday. They might be able to make it up to 6 and maybe 5 if they're lucky, but I don't expect them to be fighting for podium. The two McLarens will be relatively happy with their results, 7 and 8, within 4/100th of a second of each other. Carlos Sainz in front of Lando Norris, and in front the team that we expect in all things considered. So Alex Albon 6th, almost 8/10 of a second behind Verstappen. That's going to be slightly disappointing since we know what this car is worth. But at least Albon putting the car in a good position for the race. The 2 Racing Point, great result from both cars. Sergio Perez making his comeback and qualifying in front of teammate Lance Stroll once again. Good day at the office for Sergio. He will be very happy with that. Lance Stroll might be a bit disappointed that he's not in front of Sergio, considering that he's been out for 2 races now. But 5th place, it's not bad. Now he has to show that he can perform in the race once again. And now to our top 3. Max Verstappen, happy with his position, 3rd place. Did not expect much better. He knew that that was probably the best that this car could do, considering the pace of the Mercedes. Will be happy. It's a long start until the first corner, so he will get a lot of slipstream behind Lewis Hamilton. Might be able to gain a position or 2 at the start, as we've seen last year. Hamilton passing Bottas in the first corner, and it's going to be a hot race, which might give a bit of an edge or advantage to Red Bull after seeing what happened the last 2 weeks in Silverstone and even the first week in Austria. The Red Bull is better than the Mercedes under hot conditions, but overall, yeah, happy, and Verstappen will not give up. Will try to fight for 2nd or for victory if he can. Valtteri Bottas will be slightly disappointed with his performance. Not even 1/10 of a second behind his teammate, barely half a tenth, I should say. And throughout the whole lap, Bottas was in front of Hamilton in Sector 1 and Sector 2. But Sector 3 could not capitalize on that, and always losing quite a bit of time in both his flying lap that he tried. This is something he has to work on. The tires not having enough life at the end of the lap to do a good time. That is something that Valtteri has been struggling with, and even during the race. So a bit disappointed. He had a pace for pole position, but again, tire management is key in Formula 1 these days, and sadly it did not play in his favor. And yeah, Lewis Hamilton starting on pole again, but victory is not acquired yet. Like I said, last year Bottas was on pole, and on the first lap, first corner, Hamilton passing by and getting the lead, because you can get a lot of slipstream in that start straight. It's a long way to the first corner. So it promises to be an interesting race, but in Barcelona, as I said, it's tough to overtake. So starting position is very important, and your start of the race will also be very, very important. We'll see tomorrow what everyone can do, but now it's advantage Hamilton and Bottas, and the rest behind. Can the Racing Point surprise us and maybe challenge Max Verstappen? That would be fun. We'd like to see a Racing Point on the podium this year. And Albon, can he get in front of the 2 Racing Point and at least get a 4th place behind his teammate? We'll see. He needs to up his pace and perform a bit better in the race, and even in quali from now on. So exciting race ahead, and we'll see tomorrow what happens. Again, a hot weather forecast, and just strong Mercedes, hard compound tire. So it's gonna be interesting. Thank you for watching, everyone. I encourage you to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me what I can improve for this channel. Hope you appreciate that. I will see you tomorrow after the race of this 2020 Spanish Grand Prix at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. Have a good day.